Focus Full Tilt Telecom, and to discuss the implications of yesterday's EGOM, let's connect with Mr. Arvind Subramaniam, partner with the BCG, and along with him we've got Prashant Singhal, partner with the EY. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Arvind, you go first. What is your understanding of what yesterday's outcome of EGOM will do to the telecom sector?
Morning, Nikunj. I think most importantly, it starts clearing some of the dark clouds that have been hanging over the sector since February this year, when the Supreme Court cancelled the 122 licenses. There's been a lot of uncertainty since then about the way forward and how spectrum will be dealt with, how licenses will be dealt with. So many of these decisions, I see them as positives in as much as there's at least now a decision, and you can move forward, you can build a business plan, you can build an investment case on the back of knowns as opposed to on the back of unknowns. So to that extent, I see it certainly as a good thing for the sector.
Prashant, hi, morning. Telcos have been maintaining that they will decide on their strategy for participating in auctions depending on the government's decision on one-time fee. Now that the blow is much softened by the EGOM, do you expect telcos will be more keen to participate?
Yeah, Aisha, I think the important thing really is that the reserve price by itself is fairly high. 14,000 crores for Pan India. And I think if the industry has to further commit to the numbers that we are all reading in the media of 30,000 crores, with the kind of balance sheets which have been fairly leveraged, and the overall debt in the sector almost above $20 billion. I mean, I think it will be difficult to see how and whom the participation would be. Obviously, there would be some participation. I don't see that the auctions will be completely zero. There would be no participation. There would be some participation. I think that participation would be restricted to maybe some B or C category circles, but may not move on to the heavily priced A circles. Also, I think we have to see what is the level of uncertainty that is going to be addressed by Honorable Minister on the 16th or 17th. And we heard him say that all the issues have been resolved, but I mean a lot has to be seen as to what that resolution really means.
Arvind, that BCG, if you have to do an exact impact analysis, which are the companies which will gain and lose after yesterday's EGOM outcome?
So I think as a group, I'd say the larger operators net will stand to gain than the smaller operators, and I'm taking sort of a longer term view rather than just a short term view of the outflows over the for the excess spectrum. And the reason I say that is this clearly paves the way for a consolidation in the sector. If one were to look at a 14,000 crore reserve price plus the excess spectrum, if you fast forward your clock by, let's say, 5 years when many of the licenses come up for renewal, you're saying the industry overall will need to put in, in excess of 150,000, 200,000 crores towards spectrum cost. Now, to service that kind of a spectrum cost, and that's assuming everyone pays for all the spectrum they currently hold. Now, to service that kind of a spectrum cost, you would need, net profits in the range of 40,000 crores just to pay the amortization of those costs and the interest cost of any debt you raise to fund that. The sector is not large enough for that right now, and certainly, not all the players are profitable enough to support that. And therefore, I feel there's going to be a consolidation with the larger players benefiting in the medium to long term more than the smaller players who will now need to look at other options either in terms of mergers and acquisitions or maybe even exits.
Prashant, analysts estimate that the hit on Bharti could be anywhere between 4,100 to 4,700 crore rupees, while for Idea it could be about 1,700 to 2,100 crores. Do you concur with that, and can this be easily absorbed by these companies?
Yeah, I mean the numbers are really based on the spectrum that these companies hold, and basis the decision or basis whatever media reports that we've heard, if the decision has to be prospectively implemented, it would be in the range of about 5,000 crores for Bharti, and as you rightly said, about 2,000 crores for Idea. I mean, the issue is that the balance sheets are fairly leveraged, whether it is Bharti or whether it's Idea. The profitability is dropping. We've seen the Q1 results of both the telcos. So we are yet to see how the payments will have to be made. Eventually, I think any increase in the license fees and the spectrum charge will have to be passed on to the consumers, and I think we should be ready to see some tariff hikes with the one-time spectrum fees and with the auctions happening. So I think at the end of the day, I don't think the sector as a whole can support anything like a $2.7 billion reserve price or a $5.2 billion or $5.3 billion one-time spectrum charge from the existing operators. It would be passed on. The tariffs will go up, and that's very different from what the government has been talking about, which is mobile for everyone.
Arvind, most of the large telecom companies have been maintaining that if the spectrum pricing is not efficient, they may not bid. To your mind, what are the chances that some of the large telecom companies they actually shy away from the bidding process?
I would suspect that's reasonably high because, let's remember, anyone who bids drives up the auction discovered price, and it's the auction discovered price that gets applied both to the excess spectrum currently held and to the renewals that will happen 2014 onwards. So it's not really in the interest of the existing operators to participate in the auction and drive the price up. They would, the best case outcome right now is for them is that the 14,000 crore reserve price is sort of the clearing price at which spectrum gets allotted, and then all renewals and further charges are based on that. Is there a scenario that even the 14,000 crore may not get achieved because there may be such poor participation in some of the circles that does not that the auction does not lead to a market discovered price on those circles? Possible, particularly in the large metro and A circles, some of them like Mumbai and Delhi, which have the highest reserve prices. There is a chance that even the existing 13.75 megahertz on offer might not get fully subscribed.
Prashant, now with this decision out of the way, the only regulatory decision overhang is the modalities of refarming. What are your expectations there?
Yeah, I think, there are various decisions which are actually pending, to be addressed. I don't think this decision is really completely out of the way. I think the government has to also provide some visibility of how the further spectrum will be auctioned, because we are talking about 5 megahertz of 1800 and maximum of 3.75 and 800, which is really not enough to do LTE for most of the operators, and even though the spectrum is liberalized, and then the M&A is still to be addressed as to how the consolidation or M&A norms would come in. Refarming is a big issue, and I think it's going to be again a kind of dent on the industry. I think the best would be for it to be dealt with at the time of renewal of spectrum, and just like the band valuation, I think the best would be for the government to put a reasonable reserve price, and based on the cost of network deployment for the 900 megahertz band, and that should come through in the course of normal renewal. I think anything before the normal renewal process, i.e. taking back the spectrum for the purpose of refarming, would again have a significant dent on the industry.
Prashant, the bait here is that Indian telecom consumers are moving up the value chain, and it's only higher spectrum which will support value-added services. Do you think telecom companies will take cognizant of that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is important, but one has to see the spectrum band through which you would be able to provide those services. And I think 1800 or 900, I mean, they are fairly good bands in terms of the global evolution. The important thing for the telcos and the government is to realize, or more for the government to realize, that they have to provide enough spectrum for those services to be offered. 5 megahertz of spectrum or 3.75 in the 800 band is really not enough to provide a customer experience or the consumer experience that the 15 or the top 15-20% of the consumers are looking at, or for a broadband explosion that the country is looking at. I mean, if we need to look at internet being accessed through a medium of broadband wireless by everybody in this country, or by 70 to 80% of the people in this country, then clearly this spectrum which is being auctioned by the government is not enough. I think they have to increase the amount of spectrum to be auctioned, or at least have a path which is clearly defined, that there would be enough spectrum over the next 10 years. Or over the next 5 years, and this is the way the auction or further issuance of spectrum would happen.